Hey everyone and welcome back to the news. We've got massive classic updates, level 120 boosts being data mined, and some real talk, titles, thumbnails, sponsors, I've heard you, and today we're going to have a real honest talk about what all of that stuff means, plus a bit of a game studio update. And speaking of which, a Patreon update. Our art team, in spite of having to prep for Gamescom, has found the time to make 2 special bonus items for this month's physical tier. You will get these dead gorgeous, nostalgic as hell landscapes, as well as the 3-piece Paladin set. It's the best way to support our channel, and it really makes content like the complete history of World of Warcraft
possible. What about the 8-piece set?
Our big video went up yesterday. It's our new series, so if you missed it, be sure to check it out.
We are going to watch that
soon. Really loved it so far. I mean, for that series, we've got a few numbers that may shock you a little bit, and I'll get into those later. But first, let's get into our main news topic, the level 120 boost. Now, it's kind of a spicy one. So a level 120 character boost has been data mined in the patch 8.2.5 build, sort of. The only elements of it that have actually been data mined are the new zones, with there being a Kulturas and Zandalari 120 character boost area.
Who gives a fuck?
Now, these would, I assume, be just like the Legion airships that boosted characters will have received their training on in the past. Now, this is, of course, something that we all do expect to see eventually, but I guess there's a bit of a question on everyone's mind, given how Blizzard have monetized Battle for Azeroth more than any other expansion in World of Warcraft's history. So
thank you very much, Bellular, for saying that, because some people need to fucking remember that. They've added more storm mounts into BFA than they ever had before. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I'm glad they're doing the boost, but the problem is fundamentally the fact that leveling is boring and it sucks. Like, if leveling wasn't as boring and it didn't suck as much, then I wouldn't really care a lot about the boost. But unfortunately, because leveling sucks, I actually do want to be able to boost my characters. If I could click a button and make the boost not happen in the game anymore, I would click that button. But in a world where they exist, I will be taking advantage of them. That's basically the way that I look at it. I hate
there are
leveling
suspicions that rather than having this launch with the next expansion's pre-order, that they might actually launch it a bit earlier. Now, this whole level boost thing, right? This kicked off with the level 90 boost years ago. The level 90 boost was months after patch 5.4, the final patch of MoP, and things happened in a similar manner for Legion, with its level 100 boost being available once Legion was available for pre-order. And then once again, we saw the same thing with Battle for Azeroth. So generally, the boosts to level cap, they've been available months after the final raid of an expansion actually comes out. Now, it's perfectly possible that that trend will continue. However, it is the case that, Blizzard absolutely have been monetizing Battle for Azeroth in a more heavy-handed fashion as of late, and it's also the case that the patch timings for this expansion are totally out of sync with what I have to imagine their original plan was. Because, you see, if Battle for Azeroth was
So let's just ask this. Do you think that it would be better for BFA? Do you think that it would be better for BFA if, hypothetically, they introduced a 120 boost today versus 1 year from now? Which one would be better, today or 1 year from now? I'm kind of curious. I personally believe today. Yeah, I think it would be better for the game today. And the thing is that there's a lot of people that don't want to level their alts. Who cares? Expansion sucks. Well, a lot of people still play the game. Like, more people are playing WoW now. Like, and like, that's probably because mainly of Classic, I would assume. But from the people that still play retail, I've been hearing a lot of positive things about it that I haven't been hearing for a long time. I've been talking to people. I play WoW all the time, right? I talk to people about the game all the time. And I'm hearing more positive things about WoW nowadays than I've heard throughout the entire expansion. Doesn't mean the game's good, but it means it's better than it was, right? Can you watch this till after the end? Let me see what that is, Tabella. I'll have to look at it later on. I don't know what that is quite yet. Yeah, 8.2 is 20B, because the negative people quit. Well, the thing is, like, the negative people, a lot of them did quit, but they still come back and complain about every patch. There are a lot less people complaining about 8.2 than the other patches. I'll definitely say that.
Following the timings of Legion's patches, we would be 2 or 3 weeks off the final content patch. 7.3 came out 2 months before BlizzCon, and Antorus unlocked on the 24th of October. Battle for Azeroth pre-order started on the 30th of January the following year, and of course that brought with it the max level character boost. Well, things are really quite different with this expansion. As I covered in this video, we're likely to have the final Battle for Azeroth raid open up on the start of January. January, this coming January, with the final content patch either dropping
Wow.
late November or early December. Now,
Wow.
if Blizzard's usual expansion plan is to announce it at BlizzCon and then follow it up with a release the next August, then we would be looking at the level boost being on sale closer to the raid than is normal. However, there's another option, and this is one that is fairly in alignment with Blizzard's far heavier monetization of the Battle for Azeroth expansion. They could launch that level boost in 8.2.5 or 8.3. Now, here would be their public thinking about it. BFA launch was a wash. They could even acknowledge that. 8.2 fixed a lot. 8.3 is probably going to be a really brilliant patch. So why not offer a level 120 boost to get people right into the action? Now, that would be their PR sort of announcement for it. That's what it would sound like. Of course, having a level cap boost while the level cap is still highly relevant, I imagine that would be a massive moneymaker for them. Now, remember, World of Warcraft is not doing tremendously well based off subscriptions. It's doing tremendously well based off additional purchases.
But it is growing in subscriptions. What if they did something like this? That if you resub to the game for the next patch, they would just give you a 120. They give you a free boost for whatever character. Do you think that would be good? I don't know. I'm thinking about that. Would that be good or not? Because here's the thing. It doesn't cost them any money to do that. I'd play. They already did that for 110. But what I mean is if they did that before the expansion is over. That's bullshit. I just resubbed. Well, no. What I mean is so if you resub, or if you do sub, if you're currently sub, just give it to fucking everybody. So that way there's no oh, I've been paying the game for this long and they don't fucking give this to me, man, but they're gonna give them to all these other people. They don't even play the fucking game. What the hell is this, right? And yeah, obviously that'd piss them off. But if they just said, if you're playing on patch 8.3, boom, you get a boost. And have it be a 20-day thing. A 20-day bonus. So if you are sub to the game within this 20-day period, you get the 120 boost. I honestly think that would probably be really good for the game. And that's lost profit margins, bro? Not necessarily, no. Because the people that probably buy the boosts for their characters, many of them, I would say that a lot of people that buy one boost will probably buy another boost. And if the first boost is going to get them into the game, what if they do that first boost and they don't like the character that they're playing, and then they see another character that they like, and they can boost that one too with the money, right? So you get them coming and going. So I don't think that's the case, because you're giving them money. You're giving them something that costs you no money. They could potentially invest them in the game to give them more money later on. Yeah, it's whales. Well, yeah, I mean, of course it's whales, but I think that it works. That's the only point that I'm making here. Let's see. The Classic try to use to boost retail. Well, yeah, of course they should do that. That's actually a great idea. Yeah, as soon as Classic dies down and people stop being super, super invested in Classic, they get everything they want to do done in Classic, they introduce a fucking free 120 boost to the retail game. Boom. There you fucking go. You're going to have tons of people playing the game then. That would be a great idea. And yes, I do want to say, again, I do not think the boosts are good for the game. But in a world that they are... It's kind of like flying, for example. If I could click a button and remove flying from the game, I would probably click that button. I probably would. But now that flying is in the game, I think that they should use flying to make the game as good as possible and figure out ways to make the game better with flying. And I think that the boosts are in the same way. I look at it from the same context. Free 120 boost for everybody subbing during the 1 month of Classic? No, I don't think... Oh, maybe, yeah, they could do that. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways.
And look, when I say that, it's not just scuttlebutt. Blizzard PR have sort of said to me, I mean, kind of by omission, but they've said in official communications to me that they wanted me to say that publicly. It's no secret. When I was doing a video on World of Warcraft subscriber numbers back in the day, they told me to tell you that subscriptions are no longer the best sole metric of World of Warcraft's health. And yeah, that does mean...
That's a terrible thing to hear. That is a terrible fucking thing to hear. So what does that really mean? People that are paying money for the game, the amount of people that are paying and fundamentally invested in the game is not a good analysis of the health of the game? That's delusional. I'm sorry, but that is delusional. Subscribers are the #1 strongest way to determine if the game is healthy or not. What the fuck are you talking about? If Blizzard is still doing that, the whales, Well, no, I get it, right? No, I know what you're saying, right? They're saying that the amount of revenue that it makes is what matters, and that has to do with the cash shop. But it's such a terribly disconnected way of looking at creating a product that's supposed to engage people on a massive, widespread level. Because you're not looking at the amount of people you're engaging. It's like, imagine this, right? Imagine if I didn't care about getting a lot of people that were subscribing and watching my stream, but instead of that, I only cared about getting just a few people that would give me a lot of money. Would that make my stream better or worse? I wonder.
That it's things like the store mounts and the character boosts that are really very relevant to World of Warcraft's health as a product. Now, being real with you, I've got to imagine that Blizzard look at the Final Fantasy XIV premium swimsuits and all of their boosts, the way you can boost through the story content. Blizz obviously, they're going to look at that and think, wow, I wish we could get away with that. But for whatever reason, the Final Fantasy XIV audience seems to be a lot more okay with that type of thing than the World of Warcraft audience is.
Yeah,
as for why, well, that's maybe a deeper discussion for another day.
Should never
now, of course,
accept pay to
I'm
win
not a big fan of
any
max
sort of
level character boosts. I don't really think that's a great thing.
No.
I'll never forget Preach's video all the way back during Mists of Pandaria, where he was slogging through hours of LFR.
I remember this shit, dude, because they used to boost you up. They would boost you, and you would be like 530 or 522 item level or some shit, right? And you would have just enough item level to queue up for the first wing of Throne of Thunder. And you would queue up for that first wing of Throne of Thunder, and the half of the raid would be boosted 90. So people that had no fucking idea how to play their class. And back in LFR back then was actually kind of challenging. And so you would try and do that, and it would just be fucking awful. You would be sitting there and wiping over and over and over and over. You'd just be so terrible. 483? I think actually you're right. It was 483. But the point's still the same, right? Whatever dungeon it was, Darumu, they would just die constantly. I remember there was one time on the council, third boss in TOT, and we wiped like 4 times because 20 of the 25 people in that raid were boosted 90s. And they had no idea how to play their class. They were just running around hitting buttons, hoping to AFK through the whole thing. It was sad.
Dealing with fresh boosted characters who couldn't pull their weight. Now, it's also the case that back then the classes were a lot more complex, so a totally new player would be a lot more in a confused state. But, even though the classes are a bit more simple now, I think that principle still does apply. And again, to me, this all comes down to what Blizzard's direction for World of Warcraft is. Is it an MMORPG or an MMO Destiny? Things like level boosts and seasonal gear catch-up, that works really well with the Destiny-type model that's more focused on endgame, gameplay-driven instanced content.
I'd be fine if they did it based off of like seasons, but I wish the season was the expansion and not the patch. The season should be the expansion and not the patch. That's the way I look at it, okay? Just a second.
Maybe that is what they really think that modern World of Warcraft is, and maybe they think that Classic is coming, so that more traditional role-playing game option will exist. And I suppose I have to wonder, will Blizzard feel more free to push WoW in that kind of modern direction if Classic exists and does well? I mean, it's hard to know, and overall, I think this BlizzCon is going to be so fascinating because we're going to see the core of the new expansion, and man, just after BFA, I'm so keen to see what direction Blizzard takes it with. But next, though, it is time to talk shop. Now, before we get on to sponsorships, titles, and thumbnails, I want to fill you in with my plan. I don't really get an opportunity to, actually just talk openly with you guys because, the way we do videos and I don't stream that much. Well, I haven't streamed in years. So, you probably noticed the job listings that we had. Now, that was crazy. We had over 550 applicants, which just blew our minds.
What the fuck?
Overall, we plan to expand the team across both channels to double its current size. Ideally, we want 2 to 3 writers and another editor. On the World of Warcraft side, I want to get our new series being a solid weekly thing, and I want another weekly series that's a little bit further off. That'll bring us to 4 videos a week. Now, that's one that will have to have its own dedicated staff because it's going to be a massive endeavor, so that will be a little bit off. We've just rented additional office space to house the new expansion, and I mean, if you do the napkin maths, yeah, it's pretty expensive to do all that. When we do...
I'm really impressed by all this, right? I mean, because you think about this is just one guy that started his YouTube channel, and he used to make videos the same as I'd make videos. And it's like, now he has people he's hiring and everything like this. This is really impressive and commendable. This is awesome.
sponsorships and run Patreon, that all does go back into content development.
Awesome.
Like, personally, I'm making less money than I did 2 years ago, but I would not have it any other way, because I just get far more meaning and satisfaction from building something that serves people. And it's fun to walk into work every day and just see the team, you know, working and stuff and making great content. So that's really the sort of high-level plan. Let's talk about the titles and the thumbnails. So my thumbnails and titles are a meme at this point, and rightly so. I'm under no illusions as to what I'm doing there. I mean, hell, last PreachCon, Mike had me judging the clickbait thumbnail contest. Now, sure, they're spicy, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was that thumbnail making process that's left me needing glasses. But on the topic of, say, the Party Sync video recently, I agree. The original title there, that was reaching for the stars. It was a bit crazy. We changed that to be a more descriptive one an hour or two after the initial upload, but I would have done that earlier, but I was mid-rewatching Battlestar Galactica, so I didn't see the feedback until a few hours.
I tried to watch that show. I hated it.
If I could, and I apologize for that.
I couldn't get into it.
Now, yesterday, we posted the first episode of our complete history of World of Warcraft series, and you'll have noticed a far more, I'd say, dignified thumbnail and title, and I think that's more befitting of that video's nature, and I'm really happy with how it's turned out. But here's the reality of that decision. Just look at this, right? Yeah, it's 9 out of 10. That video's,
that's a lot of nines.
I mean, by the numbers, not doing that well. It's a video that'll probably break even or operate at a minor loss, and that is what happens when you don't use a spicy title and thumbnail. And look,
and that's fine, by the way. Like, there are certain things where you have to create content. This is like my perspective on it, right? Is it like for IRL streams, for example, if I sat there and just chatting like full screen like this, right? And I sat here and all I did was talk to you guys, I would probably get 3 times as much donations. Like 3 times as much donations. People would donate much more regularly and everything like that. It's the same thing with my gardening streams. I don't get as many donations whenever I do those. Like, I remember I did like my gardening stream and I made like, I don't know, like it's like less than $50 or something out of the stream because people just don't donate during IRL streams. And that's fine. That's fine with me, because I think to a certain extent, it's always really important for somebody who's in a creative space to have something that they can do and work on creatively that's not tied to money. I just think that it's very, very important to have that as a creator, because whenever you don't have that, it's like everything you do is all centered around money. And so like that's the same reason why like my YouTube channel, like my second YouTube channel, I don't know if you guys have seen this before, my YouTube channel at all, there are no ads on this channel, period. I have no ads, no monetization. I could be making thousands of dollars off of this channel. I'm making $0 off of it because it's purely something that I do as a creative endeavor. And so I'm glad that Bellular has the same perspective on that.
Doing this for years, and I'm not trying to lord that over anyone, but let's just say I've done a lot of testing over that time, and that's just kind of how it is. People may say they really hate emotionally engaging titles, and sometimes I really hate them too, but at the end of the day, the clicks do happen, and if you don't do
hate the player, hate the game.
Someone else will use those tactics, and they'll get the clicks. That's just how it works, right? It's a sad state of affairs, but it's the reality that we live in. Now, why would a video like that break even? Well, I had Matt working on the researching and writing aspects of that one for about 20 hours. I edited it for a day and a half. Connell edited it for a day. Jess and I spent a day working on like style rules, like the style guide for the series and like the intros and stuff. John, our graphics designer, spent a lot of time working the thumbnails. And at the end of the day, that's a lot of time. What's different is that this is a series that ideally will be weekly. At worst, it'll be fortnightly. But, you know, doing that does bring its production costs. You need the team in order to make that be a smooth process and just keep the quality coming out there. Now, this isn't me complaining. This is like literally how I've set it up on purpose. This is just me explaining the cost of creating that content. And it's worth noting that things like, say, the editing times, they'll go down as that format is more and more worked out over time.
You got more practice.
I'm really happy for that series to even be a loss leader because I believe in that series. Long term, I think it'll do well.
For anybody that doesn't know, loss leaders are things that you do basically as brand investments. You lose money on them, but they're supposed to help promote your brand in a way that's meaningful more so in the long term, right? A lot of people don't know that, but it's like a business term.
Critically, it's one of the highest rated videos we've ever done on the channel, and looking through the comments, people seem really excited for the whole series, so it's clear that people love it. That's extremely motivating, and really, content like that being real, that's only possible because on the news topics and the speculation, yeah, we go hard in the titles and thumbnails. The same thing goes for the sponsors.
You have to.
That revenue goes into
you have to. Yeah, you have
the
to.
team
What do you
that
mean?
actually allows us to make that content. And really, I mean, if I look at the content we were making 3 years ago as compared to what we're making now, it's just a night and day difference. So that's pretty much what's going on there. That's my explanation of things. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm just going to tell you exactly how it is, because I think, like, even if, you know, I have some of my own reservations about it and you don't like it, I think at least we can both have a common understanding of why it happens, and that's pretty much that. Now, as for the game development, man, it is going better than ever. I went blind 2 days ago into a playthrough of our Act 1 script, and yeah, there's a part of it that was just harrowing. I was blown away how well that script has came out. I could not be more impressed with just how the team have brought that all together. So we're going to Gamescom this week to meet with publishers and other potential partners, and after that we'll have to decide, are we going with a traditional publisher route, or are we going with the community and something a bit different? So there's a lot more there that I'd love to share, but I don't want to overshare too early. I want to wait until the time is right. As for what Gamescom is like from a developer's perspective, I can fill you in a little bit on what happens there. So it's going to be my second one. So if you're going there as a dev and you're not like showcasing to the public, you're going to be in the business area, so there's no public there. Now instead, that is a hall that's full of developers, publishers, middleware companies, localization companies, and far more. And then there's
that's where they get together and they scheme. They're like, okay, we're gonna do this microtransaction and we're gonna make a box, okay, and it's gonna be 1 in 10,000 chance to get this item, but you can pay to have your chances doubled. And so it's only 1 in 5,000, but they don't know, right? See, this is, that's what they do. They sit down there. It's basically all of them planning out how they're going to fucking make all the microtransactions. They touch base and exchange tips.
To organize meetings, and just about everyone's on the app, and you get like your time slots. So yeah, we're heading over there with the Northern Irish delegation under the UK banner, and we are, you know, when we're there, we'll have access to a demo pod and meeting space. So it's all about talking to people, networking, essentially just building strong connections with the acquisitions people from publishers, and then going home, you know, keeping that dialogue going, sending over a build, just kind of doing that. And then of course, beer. Lots of beer. It's Germany after all, and a surprising amount of the real work gets done in the hotel lobbies and the beer halls. So that's pretty much what, that's just what Gamescom is like, I guess, from a biz dev perspective. Anyway, with that, I thought we'd take some time to talk about Classic, and yeah, I hope you got your name reserved successfully. I owe Mr. GM a lot. He hopped onto Shazrath and he secured my name for me. I was stuck in the login queue. So yeah, thankfully I got that. I'm going to be playing on Shazrath Horde when I get the time with the Preach community, and yeah, just for me, the excitement is really building. But first, let's talk about the news. Blizzard have added additional PvP servers for the US and EU regions, and this actually, well, it almost certainly means that Classic is performing above Blizzard's expectations thus far. But that said, we will have to wait and see how many people actually stick around after the first few weeks. But still, it's good news, because even if 90% of the players were to drop off, we would be left with 10% of a larger than expected pie, which absolutely is a good thing. Now, Blizzard's Classic plan is pretty darn clear. As we covered last week, it's more about re-engaging people with the Warcraft IP than like Classic being a separate product. They're really using Classic to bolster the overall World of Warcraft content offering. And I think what's going to interest me the most is the performance of the phase releases. So let's just say BFA is in its end of expansion content drought. I'll be super keen to see if that's like when Phase 2 comes out, and just how well that will do. Like, will people hop over to Classic in the content drought instead of hopping over to another game? Now, on the topic of Classic performance, a blue post actually warned players of higher than expected queues on full servers. And again,
I'm a little bit worried about that.
They're receiving greater than expected Classic support, which again is really nice to see. I'm going to be dead keen to see how Classic performs on Twitch after launch. It just has that potential for emergent storytelling and kind of just wacky hijinks and crazy events. So yeah, I think it'll make for extremely engaging stream content, as the beta showed. And man, it'll be crazy. Like, if that is able to get World of Warcraft just on average 2 or 3 places like higher in the Twitch rankings, that could be a lot more eyeballs on the franchise. So it certainly is a very, very interesting time. We've got 8.2.5 in testing, probably coming out September. We've got Classic coming out very soon. We're going to have a massive BlizzCon. Just, you know, we're probably going to have Diablo 4. We maybe will have Overwatch 2. We're probably going to have the next WoW expansion. it's a pretty wild time, isn't it? So let me know what you think about all those news topics. Let me know what you think about our plan for just the operation here. I'd love to hear your take on that, so let me know down below. And of course, if you're interested in the special thing we've got going on this month for Patreon, you can check out that link down below as well. Thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you very much for your support on yesterday's video as well. All of your comments have been super heartening. And if you've not checked it out, well, people seem to like it.
There we go, dude.
Doing that. Anyway, cheers. I'll see you next time.
Yeah, think about that, dude. WoW with open world voice chat. What a beautiful world that would be. Yeah, I'm fucking amazing, man. I found spicy thumbnails. I have no problem with it because I know what your content is like. Yeah, I mean, the thing that people like complain about clickbait, the issue that I have, all right, so for clickbait, what do I dislike about clickbait? I dislike clickbait whenever it does not accurately represent the content that is being shown. That's what I don't like. Everything else besides that, I'm okay with.